Little note. Wow. All right. Welcome everybody. On the screen, it's interesting where the light is shining. It's like has these rays coming off of it. It's kind of cool. All right. Getting everything set up for the Zoomers. Okay, welcome. Thank you for being here. So let's just get right into it as we always do. So we can begin by tucking our thumbs into our fingers, resting our hands on our thighs. And if you'd like to close your eyes, you can. If you'd like to just have a soft gaze a couple feet in front of you, you can do that. And we'll bring our awareness to the three treasures: the Jing, the Qi, and the Shen. And in the microcosmic context, those three treasures are the body, the breath, and the mind. In the macrocosmic context, those three treasures are the earth, the biofield, life, and the boundless sky. Sure, the Jing is the earth. The Qi relates to the biofield or to life. And the Shen relates to the boundless sky, the heavens, the universe. In a non-specific context, we could think of Jing as substance, like the stuff that we can touch and feel. And Qi is the movement, the interaction of things. And Shen is awareness, or even awareness of awareness. Like one interpretation I like is interest. So we can feel into the substance of our bodies. We can feel into the substance of the earth, of the ground beneath us, just connecting to that. And this substance is what allows us to ground in to something, to feel our feet on the ground, to feel our seats on what we're sitting on. And we can tune into the movement or the interaction of Qi, of all of life going on around us, the air that we're breathing from the outside into us, and the breath that we're exhaling from the inside out. Noticing light and shadow. Maybe even feeling the movement of the subtle energies in our bodies, like the beating of our hearts and the circulation of our blood. And also noticing the noticing of the mind, noticing what the mind is interested in. Like if we're just sitting here relaxing, letting things do what they do, where does the focus of our mind tend to go? And I've mentioned this before, but I think it bears repeating. It is interesting to notice what our mind is interested in, and noticing, is our mind interested in things that we want to be interested in? Are we conditioned to be interested in things that aren't really serving us? Are we interested in the content of our minds? Or are we just interested in the nature of interest? Like being interested in consciousness itself, not being interested in what consciousness occupies itself with. And so that was a whole lot of words and even suggestions of things that we can do while we're just sitting here, areas of focus or things to notice. And so there is all of that. And the invitation is also to relax amid all of that. Just allowing the focus of the mind, the interest of the mind to relax and settle into the sensations of the body. And relaxing into the movement of the breath. And relaxing into how much space is available within our minds, within our bodies. Allowing the movement of the chi, of the movement of the breath, to really reveal all of that space to us. And then again, to just relax into that. And then when you're ready, you can bring your hands together and we'll rub our hands together, generating some heat in our palms. Remembering to maintain an awareness of the alignment of your body and the movement of your breath, the focus of your mind. And for now, you might direct the focus of your mind to the sensation of your palms as they rub together, and notice the heat that's being generated in your hands. Heat is energy. Energy is a translation of qi. Building some qi in the hands. And then we can take a nice deep breath in and shake it out. And again, rubbing the palms together. And you can massage one hand with the other, feeling around the pinky edge, the base of the thumb, the wrist, the back of the palm, in between the fingers. Waking things up, feeling what things feel like, bringing more of yourself into more of yourself, becoming more fully embodied. And then again, another deep breath in. And let's freshen it up, and then we'll massage our faces and our heads all at one time. So this is slightly different than how we have done this facial massage in the past. So what we'll do is we'll massage up and down, and then over the scalp and around, and then up and down and over. Up and down over the scalp. Up and down, over. And you can play with how you're doing this. You can go slow, so you can kind of figure out the rhythm. As you figure out the rhythm, if you want to go a little faster, you can, to see what that feels like. If going too fast feels too fast, then slow it down. And take the time to just feel what you feel. Let's do one more, up and down, over the scalp, and around. And a deep breath in, and out. Rubbing the palms together and breathing. And then a slightly different ear massage than we sometimes do it. We're mixing it up today, so we can make Spock fingers, and then on either side of the ears, and just up and down, in front and behind the ear. And then you can bring your palms over your ears, and then we can make some forward circles. And then another deep breath in and out. Rubbing the palms together, breathing, checking in with your body, feeling the breath moving through the body. And then one more time, we can kind of run our fingers over our scalps, down the back of the neck, taking your time as the hands come around the base of the neck. Another big breath in, and another shaking it out. And then we'll do our self shoulder massage. So beginning with the left arm, we can just swing it up to the right and alternate, letting gravity do most of the work. And bring some intention to your hand as it swings up to your shoulder. Just like, just think about your hand. Pay attention to it. See if that changes how it feels when it lands on your shoulder. Maybe notice the sensation of your hand landing on your shoulder, and notice where that sensation goes. Does it travel down through your body? Does it spread across your shoulders? Does it stay just right under your hand? And it doesn't have to be any kind of way. We're just noticing how it is. And maybe it's different. Maybe different from one side to the other, maybe different every time the hand lands on your shoulder. And I mean, I guess the reality is, even if it feels the same, it's still different. Let's do one more on each side. And a big breath in and out. Rubbing the palms together and taking a nice deep breath. It is different. Like every breath is different. I had a teacher say one time, you know, when you're taking a breath, it's the only time you're ever going to take that breath in your entire life. So it can kind of be a big deal. And not at the same time. So let's open our chests. So we can bring our right fingertips together, find the bottom of the left collarbone and slide out into the hollow space underneath the collarbone. And then from there, you can come down about an inch, a half of an inch. There's a muscle that you roll over, and then there's another hollow space that's a little bit lower. And then we'll take our left fingertips to the bottom of the right rib cage, follow that down, and then you'll drop into another hollow space, regardless of the body type. We all have a little notch there. So finding those two spots, and then we can just gently tap those two spots, and feel free to make small circles as you tap, or just kind of moving the fingers around just to feel what it feels like. The lower point, it might be partially on the rib cage, might be partially on the abdomen, it might be, yeah, more one than the other. So just tap, look around, feel what you feel, notice what you notice. And maybe not, you might find a spot in each one of these places that feels kind of distinct, stands out. Maybe a little tender, maybe a little achy, maybe just kind of like, hey, that's a spot. So hang out there. And continue to breathe and feel and breathe into the space in between these two spots. Filling up your rib cage, filling up your lungs, inviting the breath to move through your solar plexus and your heart center. It's a very busy area, both physically and energetically. There's a lot going on. In places where a lot goes on, things can tend to get a little congested, a little backed up. And so we're offering some support to this area with stimulation of these points, with breathing consciously into this area, with feeling what's going on in here and just allowing it to move, allowing it to be seen, to be felt. And when you're ready, you can massage these 2 points. And then we can change sides. So the left fingertips can slide out under the right collarbone into the hollow space and then down just a little bit. The right fingertips can find the bottom of the left rib cage, following it down into the hollow space. And then just gently tapping and exploring, just like we did on the other side, feeling the different sides of the body can feel very different, one side to the other. So just taking the time to notice, to feel if you find a spot in one or both of these places and hanging out there and tapping. And then breathing into each of these spots and breathing into the space in between each of these spots. The lower point is the last point on the liver meridian. The liver organ is very much responsible for the management of the blood in our body. Like our digestive system produces the blood, the heart circulates the blood, but the liver really manages it. It stores the blood, it detoxifies the blood, it monitors the blood for hormones and all other kinds of things. The upper point is the first point on the lung meridian. And the lungs, as we all know, is responsible for the breath, bringing the breath in, allowing the oxygen and the breath to infuse the blood, sending that blood to the heart where it can then be sent to the rest of the body. So management of blood and breath, which without blood and breath, there's not much life that's going to happen. So we want our liver and our lungs to be in communication with each other. We want the breath and the blood, the qi and the blood to be harmonized with one another. We want both of those substances to be circulating freely throughout our bodies. In our chests, the qi and the blood can get bound up, can get stagnant, congested, full of phlegm and toxins and all manner of junk. So we can stimulate these points, we can breathe deeply, we can help these organs do what they do, which is to help us live unencumbered by all of the accumulated gunk of life. When you're ready, you can massage these 2 points and maybe it's like saying, thank you, lungs, and thank you, liver. Thanking them and for allowing us to feel what we feel, which is sometimes easy and sometimes hard, and all of it helps us to learn and grow. And then we can take a deep breath in and out. Rubbing the palms together and breathing. We can bring our hands now over the lower ribs, making some circles over our lower ribs, over our digestive organs, over the solar plexus, and the hands can start to move onto the abdomen, massaging our belly. And your hands can do whatever they want to do here, whatever feels natural. If one hand's doing one thing and the other hand is doing another thing, that's fine. If your hands come together and are working together, that's fine. You can make big circles over the abdomen. You can make small circles within a big circle. You can go one direction and then you can go another direction. Just try different things. See what things feel like. Feel what feels good. Do more of that. There is a principle in Qigong that when you do something good for yourself, you tend to get something good in return. And when you're ready, your hands can move around your waist to your lower back and massaging the area of the lower back between the bottom of the rib cage and the hips, the area of the kidneys and the adrenal glands, the SI joint, the quadratus lumborum muscle, the diaphragm, the psoas. And we can say, thank you, kidneys. And then we can draw the hands out, shake them out, rubbing the palms together and taking a breath with your whole body. Maybe noticing the sensation of your palms. Do they feel the same as when we started? Do they feel different? And then let's massage our arms so we can tap the fingertips and then run up the outside and down the inside. Remembering to breathe. Feeling what you feel. And up one more time, and then down. Tapping the other side, up and then down. Going with the flow of the meridians in the body and moving at the speed that feels appropriate for you, which may be slower or faster than the speed that I'm going, which is totally fine. And again, just try different things, explore. And then up one more time, down, big breath in, and out. Rubbing the palms together. And then we can bring our feet out in front of us. And you can bring your hands to your feet, or if you're sitting in a chair, you can lean over to your feet, or you can massage your knees, which is equally good. And I like to use my thumbs on the bottom of my feet. I like to use my fingers in between the long bones on the top of my feet. So you're welcome to do something like that. You're welcome to do something different. It can be nice to squeeze the toes. It can be nice to pinch and massage the edge of the foot that's facing up towards you. Finding any areas that feel particularly tender or good when they're rubbed, and just rub them some more. Give your body what it's asking for. The body is very good at asking for what it needs, and the mind is very good at ignoring those signals. So part of Qigong is, getting good at noticing those signals and then honoring them. And when you're ready, if you're massaging the bottom of your feet with your thumbs, you can follow the funnel down into the deepest hollow and apply some pressure there. If you're massaging your knees, you can find with your fingertips the center of the back of the knee, finding the deepest hollow and then pressing there. The point on the bottom of the foot is called the bubbling spring. It's like our taproot, drawing the yin energy of the earth up into us. The point behind the knee is called the central servant. It's like the bucket in the well that drops down deep into the depths, gathering that water, that yin energy of the earth that nourishes us, and that as we bring it up, we convert into steam. The character for Qi is steam, rising, moving, circulating, nourishing. And then when you're ready from here, the hands can move up the inside of the legs and around the hips and down the outside, and then up again. And just like with the arms, finding the speed that feels good to you, finding the amount of pressure that feels good to you, maybe trying different speeds and different pressures, just to invite some contrast. Contrast helps us learn, helps us figure out what we like, what works for us, what we want more of, what we want less of. And then we can come up one more time and then down and out the feet. Big breath in. Shake it out. Rubbing the palms together. Nice deep breath. And then we can return to a comfortable seated position. We can tuck our thumbs back into our fingers. Let our hands rest on the thighs. And again, bringing awareness to the three treasures. The body and the alignment of the body. The breath and the movement of the breath into and through the body. And the mind and the focus and the interest of the mind. And whenever you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes. Any questions about anything? Okay. All right, so the past 2 weeks we've done turtle longevity Qigong, and this week we're gonna do that again. So 2 weeks ago, we did the first standing form of turtle longevity Qigong and an abbreviated version of the second standing form. Last week, we did the kind of full version of the second standing form. So this week, we're going to do the first standing form and the second standing form, the whole shebang. So yeah, so we'll just have that experience. And you know, I have this thing on the board behind me. Zoom people can see it. So, you know, I've had it up here as we're doing turtle longevity Qigong, because this kind of encompasses a lot of the dynamics that are involved in turtle longevity Qigong. So we have these three, you know, this is like us, right, in the circle. And we have these three dots that signify the three dantians. So we have our lower dantian in our belly, our middle dantian in the chest, the upper dantian in the head. So like these three big bony cavities, like our pelvis, our rib cage, our cranium. And these correspond with the three treasures: the body, the vitality, the physical center, the breath and the emotional movement center, and then the mind and that kind of universal wisdom center. And so these are areas that this turtle longevity Qigong form really focuses on. We also do a fair amount of bending and turning in this form, because where each one of these dantian are is also a horizontal vector in our body. So hips, diaphragm, shoulders. And this is where things tend to get congested. And you know, this upper dantian, maybe it's the shoulders, maybe it's the hyoid bone in the throat, maybe it's the floor of our cranium, you know, but again, there's more than just these three horizontal vectors in our body, but these horizontal places, again, it's where the things tend to get stuck. And so we move to loosen them up, to open them up. We also do a fair amount of kind of up and over type of movement. So if we're facing forward, now we turn to the side, still the same orientation. So facing this way in our structure, we have energy that runs up the spine and down the front of the body. This is what's known as the microcosmic orbit. And so again, what we're doing with this form is we're tuning in to our big 3 energy centers in the body. We're opening up the horizontal vectors where things tend to get stuck. And then we're facilitating the circulation of this microcosmic orbit, because with this circulation, really what we're doing is we're integrating these 3 centers. We're integrating the 3 treasures. So it's not that they're 3 distinct things, they are, but they also are one thing, which is what we are. And so as we can integrate these 3 treasures within us, we can become integrated into the big 3 treasures outside of us. And in that way, there's this free exchange of energy coming and going. And this is what is called longevity. So, the character for longevity in Chinese, it's actually long and short is what longevity is. And so longevity doesn't necessarily mean that you're living to be 1,000 years old. Longevity means that you're kind of making the most of whatever time you have, even if that time is very short. It's fully embodied, it's fully realized, it's fully lived. That's longevity. It's existing within the eternal present moment, which again requires a fair amount of integration, because if we're, somewhere else and scattered and dispersed, it's like, where are we? Where are we existing? It's hard to have longevity in that sense. So that's that about that. So that's kind of some of the philosophical, mythological background of the form. And now we'll just practice the form, and then that will be the basis of everything, is the experience. So let's get to it. And any questions about any of that? All right, moving the chair back. Right, just making sure I'm fully in the camera here. All right, yeah. And I've mentioned this before, this form of the Qigong forms that we do a lot of different ones. Some of the Qigong forms are very, they're a little more fancy and a little more flowy. And this form is pretty simple. Like, the movements are fairly basic, but it can be very profound. And so, I had a teacher one time say that if, just in general, talking about life, that if you're bored, try being honest, completely honest for 24 hours and see how interesting your life gets. And so, with that, if, as we're doing this form, if you're feeling a little bored, like ho-hum, like we're just turning side to side, like what's the big deal? Like, really just drop in a little bit more and really tune into alignment, and what are the subtleties that you're noticing, like your feet on the ground, or bending of the knees, or where you're moving from? What is your mind paying attention to? Because this form really can give us access to a whole lot of depth. So, just that, and you may not find it boring at all. You might think it's really great. So, but I just like to put that out there. All right, so let's begin. We can just have a nice, comfortable stance. Your feet can be, about hips width, shoulder width apart. And please know that once you choose a stance, you're not married to this. So if you want to have a wider stance or a narrower stance as we're going along, you're welcome to do that. So let's begin. Now we're standing, so we'll bring our awareness to the 3 treasures in this new posture, beginning with our feet and noticing how our feet are making contact with the ground. I find it can be very helpful to lift your toes off the ground so that you can really feel the hard parts of your feet, the heels, the outside edge of the feet, the big toe mound. If your weight is really poured into your toes, bend your knees a little bit and see if you can sink back so that even more weight is in your heels than in your toes. And if you feel a little unstable on your heels, root out, almost like reaching the knees out wide so that you're really solid on the outside edges of your feet. And if you do that and you feel like, ooh, my legs are working, see if you can maintain that contact in the feet, but relax the effort a little bit. And that pressure through these big, dense bones of your feet can be very grounding, can be very stabilizing. Stabilizing to the mind, stabilizing to the body, stabilizing to the nervous system. And then just making sure that your knees are unlocked, and it might be helpful to bend the knees even a little deeper than you think you need to, just so that you know that they're unlocked, and then kind of coming out of that a little bit. I think of it as like when you're tuning a guitar, sometimes you have to go way out of tune so that then you can find tune. And coming up the thighs and tuning into your pelvis. And if you want, you can play with the rocking of your pelvis forward and back, side to side, circles, whatever that's like, just kind of exploring that. And our spine is designed to have a natural curve in the lower back, so it's okay to have that curve in the lower back. You don't want it to be too exaggerated, and you don't want it to be curved opposite. You know, we don't want that kind of curve. We don't necessarily want this kind of curve, but just allowing a natural curve to happen, just feeling what that feels like. You know, I've heard like the pelvis, a nice description is like the pelvis is like a bowl, and all of our organs are like a bunch of fruit in the bowl. And so we don't want the fruit like tipping out forward. We don't want it falling backwards. We just want this nice big bowl of fruit. And then as you breathe, just notice your rib cage and notice the sensations in your rib cage and where the breath moves your rib cage. Maybe you can feel your ribs moving pretty easily in your upper chest. Maybe you can feel it pretty easily in your lower abdomen. Can you feel the breath move the sides of your rib cage? Can you feel the breath move the back of your rib cage? The back of the rib cage is often the most difficult spot to feel. And it's the place that is most designed to be breathed into. So maybe taking a couple deep breaths so that you can feel some stretch into the back side of the rib cage. You might feel the shoulder blades spread. And it might be hard to invite the breath in that area. Breathing into the back of the rib cage might bring up some emotion. And that's okay. And then from the back of the rib cage, traveling up the back of the neck, up to the occipital protuberance. This is a word I say a lot during practice. So if you want to, you can find the occipital protuberance with your finger. It's like in the center of the back of your head, the top of, top of the neck, base of the skull, and there's a notch, occipital protuberance. You can find that with your finger and then very gently reaching back into your finger through that spot. And you know you're doing it right if it feels like your chin comes down a little bit. These big muscles on your neck engage some and the back of your neck gets longer. And you might even feel like you get a little taller. You might feel like your weight drops more into your heels. If you're reaching through your occipital protuberance and your chin is coming up, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a slight tuck, length, and lengthening through the backside of the body. And as you reach through that occipital protuberance and breathe deeply, you might feel the breath automatically comes to the sides and the back of the rib cage a little bit easier. And it might feel weird. And that's okay, because weird, novel things, novel things feel weird. New things feel weird. So what we're doing is we're engaging the body, bringing more awareness into the body, and re-educating ourselves on how to be embodied. Our heels are designed to hold our weight, not the balls of our feet. The back of our rib cage is designed to receive our breath, not the upper or even the front of the rib cage. Our neck is designed to be long and tall and lengthened in the back. It's kind of opposite of our modern posture, which is like this. We're undoing all of that. We're re-educating ourselves. When we stand differently, it quite literally changes our perspective. So as we maintain this engaged, enlivened, embodied posture, and we breathe through it, the invitation in Turtle Longevity Qigong is to begin with a visualization of standing on a beach. And this can be a beach of a river or a lake or an ocean. And standing on a beach looking out at the water. And from the water, we can visualize a 100-year-old golden yellow turtle emerging from the water, coming to rest about 3 to 6 feet in front of us. And you can visualize the turtle and its golden yellow color. You can visualize its shape. And as you breathe in and out, you can exchange qi with this turtle. And as we form a connection with this turtle, the turtle then begins to move back towards the water, and we follow it. And as we follow it, we move as the turtle moves. So as it's moving through the sand, it's kind of turning side to side, which is how we'll move, nice and slowly. And so I'll start facing away. I may turn towards you, but the hands are like horseshoes. And we'll turn towards the left. The back hand comes to the area of the tailbone, the front hand just over the pubic bone. And then leading with your hands, let's turn towards the right and land and stay there. And then leading with the hands, we'll turn back. And as you land, feel the vibration, land with some force. Lead with your hands. Let your knees be soft. Breathe through your body. And we're not moving too fast, taking our time, feeling the rotation in the hips, feeling the rotation in the spine. But not too fast, not too slow. Keep the knees bent. Keep the weight on the outside edges of the feet. Landing with some force over the area of the lower dantian. We'll just do this a couple more times. One more on each side. Then you can relax, just let yourself unwind. Breathe deep into your belly, into your lower dantian. So at this point, we've walked with our turtle back to the water, and we'll begin swimming like turtles, leading with the hands. The hands can come back and then circle up just about half of shoulder height, and then the hands can come forward. The body follows, and the knees are bent as the hands come back, rising up and forward. And so it's very common where our hands will want to come up higher, and we're not coming up even shoulder height. We're coming up about half of shoulder height, about 45 degrees. And let the hands lead the movement. Sometimes we get an undulation going in our spine, and it's like that spinal undulation is pulling our hands along. But what we want to do is have the hands initiate that wave of energy that rolls up the back of the body and over the top of the head and down the front. And just notice how you're breathing. If you'd like to harmonize breath and movement, you can inhale up the back of the body and exhale down the front. And take your time. See if you can feel all of the subtleties that reveal themselves through this movement. You can notice a shifting of weight from the back to the front of the feet. You can notice how your knees are moving. You can notice how your hips are moving. Are the hips moving forward and backwards? You can notice perhaps each vertebra as it has this wave of energy passing through it. Maybe certain areas it passes a little easier than other areas. Notice if your arms are starting to creep up a little higher. Notice if the energy is moving not only up and over the center of the body, but also out the limbs. Let's do 3 more. One more, nice and slow. And then you can roll yourself up to stand, and you might feel that your body still wants to kind of wave or rock forward and back. And that's fine. You can let yourself continue to do that. And continuing on with our visualization, swimming with our turtle out into the deeper waters, and now just kind of floating on the surface of the water. With the water moving, the waves kind of passing through, and we can just allow ourselves to just sway with the waves. And with this first standing form, the first movement is mostly lower dantian oriented. The second movement with the arms, the swimming, bringing us up into the middle dantian. And this third movement is more upper dantian oriented. And so allowing the head to just kind of lead us as we're rocking back and forth or kind of getting moved around by the surface of the ocean and just not resisting any of the movement. And it may be forward and back, it may be side to side, just allowing your head to direct Sway. And it's almost as if like we're kind of washing our brain in cerebrospinal fluid. We're just circulating it around, swishing it around in the bowl of our cranium. And as you sway, you can slowly, as you're ready, just kind of find your way back towards center. And finding a stable standing posture. Moving on to the second standing form. Which involves a lot of deep breathing. So let's take a nice deep breath in. And exhale. And the first movement, inhale the arms out and up. Reaching up high, and then exhale, guiding the breath down through the body. Long exhalation, and then take a breath. Again, big breath in. Stretch. All the way out. Bring yourself out. Take a breath. One more. Big breath in. All the way to the finger and toe tips, and then exhaling. Bring yourself all the way out. And then take 3 deep breaths. Take your time. Each breath is an exchange of qi with the universe. So inhale and fill every cell. And exhale, it's like every cell is a sponge that you're just wringing out. One more deep breath. I'll mirror you. The next inhale, the right hand floats up. And then exhale over to your left. Your hand is about just over your head. Your gaze is about 3 feet in front of you on the ground. And holding here, take a breath in. Inhale. Stretching the side of the body, and then exhale. All the way out. Take 1 breath. Left arm floats up. Reach up and then over. Looking down about 3 feet in front of you. Take an inhale here. And then exhale. See if you can exhale as completely as possible, taking your time, holding at the bottom of the exhale so the inhale just really happens. Again, right arm, inhaling. Exhaling over to the left, make sure the outside edge of that right foot stays rooted as you take a nice breath in, stretching. And exhale. Nice, slow, deep breath. Right or left arm, inhaling up. Exhaling over. Rooting through the outside edge of the left foot as you inhale. And then exhale. Nice deep breath in. One more time each side. Right arm, inhale up. And exhale. Inhale, stretch. Exhale. Exchange chi with the universe. Inhaling. Left arm floats up. Exhaling over. Breathing into the left side of the body, all the way down to that outside edge of the left foot. And then exhaling all the way out, holding at the bottom of the exhalation. And then let's take 3 deep breaths, breathing into every cell. Exhaling, flushing every cell clean and clear, refreshing again. One more time. Turning side to side, we'll start slow and then we'll pick up the pace. We're going to turn with the shoulders and then with the hips. So, starting with the shoulders, we'll turn to the left. One hand to the top of the shoulder, the back hand frames the shoulder blade. And then to the right, lead with your hands, let your knees be bent. 2. We're going to do 6. 3. 4. 5. And 6 to the hips. Land with some force. 4. Lead with your hands. 5. And 6. Back to the shoulders. 2. 3. 4. 5. And 6. Hips. 3. 4. 5. And 6. Shoulders. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. And 6. Hips. 3. 4. 5. And 6. Relax. Take 3 deep breaths. Breathing into every cell. And exhale. Inhale from the crown down to your feet. And exhale from your feet out the top of your head. Inhale again. Fill every cell with chi. And exhale, flushing it clean. Now you can bring your hands around to the back, rising up through the kidneys. Come around the rib cage, crossing the arms at your chest, and you can reach the arms up overhead, looking up towards the sky. And we're going to gather some yang energy. So swaying, I'll mirror you again, swaying over to the right, stretching, keeping rooted through the outside edge of the left foot, and then swaying over to the left, rooted through the outside edge of the right, and then back, leading with the hands in this movement. We're always leading with our hands. This is 2. Take your time. You can keep your knees bent. See if you can find flexibility, elasticity, finding the stretch and the softness of the bones and the joints and the tendons and the ligaments. And just going over as far as is comfortable. No need to go too far. And then this is 6. Inhale yourself to the center, stretch. With the exhale, send your hips back. Let your knees bend, let the weight be in the heels. The arms come forward. The head and the tailbone are reaching away from each other. So we're not folding so much as we are lengthening through the spine, reaching through the occipital protuberance, and then sway to the right. And back to the left. And just taking your time, gathering yin energy from the earth. The knees can be bent. It's actually, I think, better if they are. And if your hands are brushing along the ground, think about reaching out further away. And as you reach out with your hands, reach back with your hips. So that your knees are not in front of your feet. Your knees are just above or even slightly behind your feet. Let's do one more over to the right. And one more to the left. And then come to center. Bend your knees a lot. And then rolling yourself up. The hands come up through the chest. Opening up overhead. And again, let's gather yang energy. And see if you can feel what your hands feel like as they're passing through the sky. When I do this, sometimes it feels like I'm kind of swaying my hands through some kind of a substance slightly denser than air. Sometimes it feels like I'm passing something from one hand to the other hand. Sometimes it just feels like I'm stretching the side of my body. One more over to the left. Inhale to the center. Hips back, weight in the heels. And then gathering yin, swaying to the right. And then the left. And taking your time. You can close your eyes as you gather yin if you'd like. Just finding fluidity, finding softness, finding receptivity and exchange, and then coming to center, bending the knees as you roll yourself up. Arms reaching up to the sky one more time. Gathering yang. Bending the spine side to side. It's something we don't always do every day. There are discs in between our vertebrae that tend to get flattened out. They tend to get dry. When we side bend, in the spine, it's like fluffing up the pillows. The discs in between our vertebrae are like pillows. So we fluff them up, we rehydrate them, we facilitate movement and circulation. And then come to center, big breath in. Hips back, knees can bend. Gather yin energy from below. Stretching the backside of the body. Stretching down through the hamstrings and the calves and into the heels. If you're feeling this stretch primarily right behind your knees, bend your knees a little more, reach further back through your hips so that you can feel the stretch in the belly of the calf muscles, in the belly of the hamstring muscles. We want to stretch muscles, not ligaments. One more time over to the left. And then back to center, bending the knees, rolling yourselves up. Hands can come up and then around. And let's take 3 deep breaths. Or rather than taking 3 deep breaths, let's receive 2 more breaths. In. Now let's activate our 3 Dantian. And again, we'll start slow and pick up the pace. We've got our horseshoe hands like we used in the first standing form. And then we'll turn to the left. The back hand is facing up in the center of the lower back. The front hand is kind of like a letter C right around the belly button. And then to the right side, leading with the hands, knees are bent. 2, we're going to do 6. 3. 4, landing with some force. 5. And 6. Now the middle Dantian. 1, land with some force. 2. 3. 4. 5. And 6, upper Dantian, landing gently. 1. 2. 4. 5. And 6. Back to the lower Dantian. 1. 2. We know where we're going. 3. Lead with your hands. 4. 5. 6. Middle. 3. 4. 5. And 6. Upper, gentle. 3. 4. 5. And 6. One more time, lower. 4. 5. And 6. Middle. 3. 4. 5. And 6. Upper. 4. 5. And 6. Let your hands relax down and let's receive 3 deep breaths. Like water being poured into a cup of dirty water, we can inhale until eventually there's just a cup of overflowing clean water. 2 more. Notice where the weight is in your feet. Again, breathing. Notice where the breath moves into the rib cage. And now we'll do some gentle neck stretches. And as we stretch our neck, you can do the movements with your hips as well. So as if like we had a turtle tail, if our head comes down, our tail tucks under. If our head comes back, the tail reaches back. If you have neck trouble or stretching your neck makes you feel a little dizzy or woozy, the movement can be mostly with the hips and less with the neck. If moving the hips is problematic for the hips or the lower back, you can move your head and just have the intention of the hips moving. So let's go. We'll do 9 for each one. The mantra when stretching the neck is slow and strong. So we'll come forward just as far as is comfortable, and then reaching back. If you'd like, you can lead with your eyes, looking down, and then looking up and back, and just finding a nice steady rhythm. 3, not going too fast. 4, not going too slow. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Come to center, take a breath. Now we'll go side to side. So you don't have to do this with your arm. I'm just showing you so that with the hips, we'll go over. I'll mirror you to the right first, up and over. And it's like we have a tail reaching out to the side. And then up and over. That's 1. So keeping moving, nice and easy. 2. And again, you can lead with your eyes, looking one direction, then the other. 3, 4, slow and strong. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then coming up. Now we'll look over our shoulders. And again, as we look over one shoulder, it's like the hips, if we're looking over our right shoulder, the hips are kind of coming forward, rotating towards each other. So we'll go right shoulder first, and then left shoulder. 1. And again, you can look back behind you with your eye, letting the eye lead the movement. Slow and strong. 3, knees are bent. 4, and the hip movement doesn't need to be too big. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Come to center, take a breath. Now rotations. It's helpful to have the knees even a little bit more bent as we do this. You can put your hands on your hips if you'd like, and the chin comes down to the chest, rotating to the left and around. Chin to chest through center, and then back the other way. Coming around, chin to chest, lifting the head. That's 1. Down, take your time. Slow and strong. Let your intention be ahead of the movement. 2. These movements, the rotations can be very small if you'd like. Small rotations target the upper cervical vertebra. Larger rotations include more of the neck. 3, 4. Just letting this movement be a meditation. 4. And again, if this makes you a little woozy, you can just rotate your hips. 5, 6, 7, 2 more, nice and easy. 8. And 9, coming back up. Let's receive 3 deep breaths. And see if you can breathe with your whole body. If it doesn't feel like you're breathing with your whole body, notice where you don't feel it happening. Last movement. Inhale your arms out and up. Folding one hand over the other over the top of the head, and then exhale down through your body. Like a bellows, inhale, stretch. Exhale, pump. One more. Holding at the bottom of the exhale, hands come over the ears, and then inhale. Exhaling, flushing the upper dantian. Holding at the bottom of the exhale, hands over the chest. Breathing in. Flushing the middle dantian. Holding at the bottom of the exhale, hands over the belly. Big breath in. Relaxing the arms, receiving a breath. Exchanging chi with the universe with every breath. Again, inhale. Holding one hand over the other. Exhale. In. Flushing the whole body with the breath. One more. Stretch. Over the ears. Over the chest. Over the belly. Relaxing for one breath, exchanging chi with the universe. Taking your time. One more time. Stretching and beaming chi. Long, slow exhalations. Over the ears. Over the chest. Over the belly. And then relax. 3 deep breaths, exchanging chi. Breathe through every pore of your skin. Then you can stand here, just relaxing, breathing. Perhaps directing the awareness of your mind into your lower dantian in the area of your belly button. Allowing this area to fill with breath, fill with chi on the inhalation, on the exhalation. guiding the chi up the spine, and then inhaling, filling the belly, and then exhaling, guiding chi up the back. Inhaling down the front. And then when you're ready, you can fold your hands over your lower dantian. Visualizing a 100-year-old golden yellow turtle resting in your lower dantian. Exchanging chi with the universe. We spent a lot of time breathing deeply, bringing in oxygen, chi, into our bodies, which infuses the blood. And then the blood carries that oxygen throughout our body. We're stretched areas of our body and opened areas of our body so that blood and oxygen can get to more areas to feed those cells energy so that the cells can do what they need to do. The more freely that we can receive and let go, the more freely we can exchange, the more ease there is in our system. The more ease there is in our system, the less wear and tear. The more chi and blood we have infiltrating all of our tissues, feeding all of our cells, the more alive all of those tissues and cells are, the more alive and embodied we are. It is possible to direct chi and blood to areas of our body using our intent, the focus of our minds. When the focus of our minds is intently filling more areas of our body, we are more present in eternity. When you're ready, you can rub your hands together. We can massage our faces up and down a couple times. And then back and forth over our heads a couple times. Down the back of the neck and around. Over the chest, lower ribs, abdomen, around the waist to the lower back and kidneys. Drawing the hands out. Shake them out. Let's pat up one arm. And then down. Up the other arm. And down. Around and down the back of the legs. Up the front. And again, around and down. And up. To the belly. And then let's bounce up and down a little bit. Shake a little bit. Some deep breaths with audible exhales. 2 more together. One more. Like a wet dog shaking off blither. And then big breath. Two more settling breaths. Last one. Notice the substance of your body and the movement of your breath and blood and the quality of your mind. Great. All right. Thanks for being here and for practicing with me and for making medicine for yourself and the rest of the universe. And yeah, heard of longevity Qigong. So I think next week we might move on to something different. And if anybody has any requests, feel free to let me know. And yeah, and we'll do that. So next week, yeah, we're coming up on the equinox pretty soon. That's like next week, 4th phase of autumn. Like we're here, full on, happening. Major astrological event. Days and nights are equal. Yin and yang is balanced. Cats and dogs living together. All right. So yeah, have a great week. If you'd like a recording of the video, let me know. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for being here. All right. Okay, thanks everyone. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.